All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Race number 1 from Fuji. Adam Barker and Max Gunther have the front row. Andrew Lau, Simon Zierker on the second row. Rudolph Gunther, Mike Dolling have the third row. Mike Marshall and Ryan McDaniel on the fourth row. Byron Debelow rounding out the 9-car field here this morning. Looks like the rain has slowed down just a little bit. And the sun is coming out reflecting brightly. That could be another big factor here this morning, that bright reflection off the rain-soaked track. That last sector of the track where they're about to come through on their way to the start-finish line has often been a deciding factor here at Fuji. Could very well be again this morning. But turn 1 is always exciting at the start of the race, and man, in the rain, braking distances will be further. And you have to wonder, it looks like the rain has stopped, at least for the moment. How many of the drivers went out on rain tires? How many went out on dry? Actually, I can answer that question for you. Adam Barker and Ryan McDaniel, the only 2 drivers on dry tires. Everybody else is on wet ones. This could be an interesting start to the race. Barker up front on dry tires, everybody else around on wets, and of course, Ryan at the back on dries. This could be an interesting start to the race. Ryan, a new paint scheme on the car as he catches up, and the pace car is in. Here we go. Nope, pace car not in. Looked like they were launching already. Now the pace car is in. And Adam Barker fires. They are away. Green flag is in the air and a lot of spray down the front straightaway. Adam Barker overshoots turn 1 in a big, big way. Max Gunther quickly to the lead. Adam recovers, but is all the way back in 8th place. Byron Debelow did not take to the grid. Andrew Lau sitting in 2nd. Simon Zierk now in 3rd. Mike Dolling up to 4th. And here comes, whoa! Close call as Rudolph Gunther on the attack. Dolling manages to clear, and Adam Barker has had a problem, as has Ryan McDaniel. 2 drivers took the risk of starting on dry tires, and both have had problems here early. Max Gunther coming through the final sector of this track. And out of the final turn, looks like Max will lead lap number 1, but points leader Andrew Lau not far behind. And let's take a look at some of the early chaos. Adam Barker at the front, headed off into turn one. Remember, he is on dry tires, has no grip into one. A little bit of a struggle, but does get it back on track. And then a moment later, just a few turns later, and that car is sliding everywhere. He has zero grip. Ryan McDaniel, the only other driver to start on dry tires in the Ferrari. The back end just steps out. Mike Marshall has also had an incident. Mike is on wet tires this morning in the Mustang, but the back end just walks around on him. Finally gets it straightened out and going again. Max Gunther still has the lead. Lau in second, Simon in third, Rudolph Gunther back up to fourth, Mike Dolling in fifth. And looking from inside Mike Dolling's car, he is right up behind Rudolph Gunther. You see the spray is starting to lighten up just a little bit. He moves over to set up for turn one and clear that windshield just a bit, gets a good setup. It does look like the rain has stopped for the moment. Still very cloudy, and Andrew Lau has had a problem. Andrew Lau was working his way up toward the leader, and on the power out of turn one and to the inside wall. Hard break for Lau, not the way he wanted this race to begin. That moves Simon Zierk into second place. The BMW is known for being the most stable car out here, and it seems to be handling the rain extraordinarily well this morning. Andrew Lau slipped back to fifth place, now has a lot of ground to make up. Mike Marshall now back in sixth. So far, Mike Dolling in the Corvette, the biggest mover of the morning, up 3 spots now into third. He and Rudolph have been exchanging positions since the drop of the green. Rudolph a little bit wide. As the race goes on, the driver's likely to start drying the track out, at least in the racing line, as Ryan McDaniel is around in front of the leader. Ryan gets it backed up off the track. Let's take a look at that. Here's Ryan. Remember, he is on dry tires, and oh, he just could not get the car pointed in. Great move by Max Gunther to get around him. Same for Simon Zierk. A close call for the leaders. As the race goes on, we may see parts of the track drying off. This track may be dry for race 2. No surprise to see the two drivers on dry tires way at the back. Adam Barker in 7th, Ryan McDaniel back in 8th. Was a gutsy move to take dry tires to start the race. Just did not go in their favor. And in race 2, with that longer race, will we see some tire changes midway to switch from wets to dries, or vice versa if the rain returns? Max Gunther has the fastest lap of the morning and has a 3.7 second lead over Simon Zierk. Mike Dolling now back in 3rd in the Corvette. And I stand corrected, Ryan McDaniel is on the Corvette and has come in. He has switched to wet tires. Can he capitalize on that and close the gap on Adam Barker? Barker's still on dry tires and definitely struggling here. Definitely not the Adam Barker we are used to seeing out here. Already halfway through race number 1, Ryan is on his way back out in the Corvette on wet tires. Max Gunther's lead continuing to grow over Simon Zierk. Mike Dolling is closing the gap. Now on Simon, just over 2.5 seconds behind. Rudolph Gunther holds on to 4th, Andrew Lau in 5th. Mike Marshall back in 6th, Adam Barker in 7th, Ryan McDaniel in 8th. But Ryan now on wet tires may be able to close the gap on Barker, who's still on dry. Starting to see a few patches of the track that are starting to dry. Still a few puddles out there for the drivers to make sure they avoid. But when we go into race 2, the circumstances could change dramatically. All of Team Gunther was missing in action last week at Catalunya, but they are back, and both of them in the top 5 this morning, including Max out front. Rudolph Gunther back in 4th, had been battling with Mike Dolling, but that Corvette has just taken off. He is still closing the gap on the BMW of Simon Zierk. And Max Gunther, last time by, set the fastest lap of the morning, a 1:47.11. Ryan McDaniel has started closing the gap on 7th place Adam Barker since switching to the wet tires. He has picked the pace up dramatically. Mike Dolling has put quite a dent in the gap to Simon Zierk. Now just 1.5 seconds behind as they go off into one. And it seems like Dolling can carry a lot more speed in the Corvette through the turns than the BMW of Simon Zierk. He closed a 1/4 of a second in turn 1 alone. Starting to see the sun come out a little bit as well on track. Still getting cloudy and humidity still extremely high. We may still see a little bit of rain this morning. Max back down the front straightaway. At the start-finish line with just over 5.5 minutes left to go in race number 1. Max Gunther started in second but gained control on turn 1, lap 1. When Adam Barker on dry tires went off track and Max checked out. Simon Zierk in second, though, is in trouble. Dolling is there. Mike closed down a over 3-second gap to catch up to the back bumper of Simon Zierk. And you see Dolling trying to keep that car out of the spray as they go off in the turns as much as possible, trying to get the clean air and a clean run. And it looks like Dolling able to take the turn sharper, also able to hit the apex a little bit harder. Max, meanwhile, out front, his lead 7.9 seconds. And that lead could grow now as Dolling and Zierk go to battle. Simon scooting over, trying to break the draft. That also gives Simon that inside line into turn 1. What will Dolling do here? Dolling's going to make the move to the high side into turn 1. Couldn't make it stick yet. Last time through turn 1, that is where Dolling gained a 1/4 of a second. Andrew Lau in the Ferrari has had some problems. Let's take a quick look. Wow, and as we have seen multiple times this morning, just those extremely wet points at the apex of the turn, you get on the power, the car goes around, has a hard time getting the car going again, but finally gets her going. Max Gunther coming around is about to put Adam Barker a lap down. Remember, unlike Ryan McDaniel, Barker never came to pit road. He is still on dry tires. Mike Dowling and Simon Zierk still battling it out for second. Rudolph Gunther back in fourth. Mike gets a run to the outside. Can he make it work this time? Hey, good morning, Tina. How are you? Mike still trying to make the move. Just cannot get a big enough run yet. Adam Barker in seventh, lost a lap that time by Ryan McDaniel, still gaining ground on Barker after stopping and switching to wet tires, but not going to have enough time to get there. Max Gunther coming down, likely to see the white flag this time. No white flag was shown there. We may see the checker, but Ryan McDaniel had a problem back behind. Ryan looks like he just pushed it too hard through that turn, does a 180, and throws up a cloud of rain, or a cloud of mist rather. He does get it going again. Max Gunther now closing the gap on Mike Marshall. That Porsche is known for being one of the least stable cars. In the rain, you would not think that car would do as well as it has done this morning, but Max has been on fire. Max hopping into the... And here we go toward the start-finish line. Max Gunther is gonna dominate in the rain. Max Gunther wins race 1 at Fuji in the rain. And on the last last lap, Mike Dolling managed to pull off the pass for second. Let's see if we can get a quick look. Mike had been trying to find a run, and into that final set. Oh, there may have been some contact between Mike and Simon there. But in the final turns, Mike takes second. And let's see if we can talk to our top three. Starting with third place, Simon Zier. Weirdly, Simon is not actually available for interview. So let's talk to Mike Dolling, who finished second. Mike, that last lap, things got really interesting. Hey, Mike, it's Doug. You got me? Doesn't appear Mike was available. So let's see if we can get a word with our winner, Max Gunther. Max, it really was just a Sunday drive for you.
Yeah, it was a nice drive. Adam just had dry tires, so he lucked out on turn 1, and then from there it was just me and sunshine.
It definitely was, and man, you just kept it planted, setting, and really surprising that the Porsche handled so well in the rain.
It handles great in the rain. Porsche is, I think, one of the strongest cars in the rain, which is really amazing.
That is quite amazing, given how squirrely that car can be in the dry.
Yeah, it can. But it's a great car for the wet. I love it. I love wet driving. So, yeah.
Well, that definitely bared fruit because you really dominated that one, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
See if we can get a word now with Mike Dolling. Hey, yeah. Mike, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, Doug. How you doing?
That was a wild last lap. We saw you for about the last 3 laps trying to find a way past Simon, and just
yep.
that last sector, you finally managed to get a run.
Oh, it was good, but then the adrenaline. I was trying to play it cool for the 3 laps before, and I was just like, right, where can I go? And I was trying to just find a spot. And then once I got past, I got so like fired up, and then I left my braking too late into turn 1, and I cooked my tires a little bit. Well, I didn't cook them, but I overheated them a little bit. So anyway, but it was all right. I think I held on. It was a bit, I shit my pants a couple of times, but I think I got there.
I think everybody likely did. It was crazy to see 2 drivers start on dry tires, but now I see a bunch of you guys are out practicing on dries.
Well, I think that's going to be what we're going to try and do now, is to see if we can run on dries. I'm not convinced. I'm going to try and give it a go now and see what it's like out there.
Well, a great finish and a great race, buddy.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
And it does look like third place Simon Zierk is available. Simon, you came home third, almost had second until the last lap.
Yeah, that was a really good race. I lost the pace in the end. I think my tires overheated. I didn't have the grip, and Michael is a really good driver in the wet, so I lost it in the last lap. I couldn't make anything there.
It did look like that BMW was really planted in the rain. We'd see other drivers back ends twitching, a few guys go around, but I never saw the BMW struggle at all.
Yeah, it was really planted. It's really a good car, and especially in the wet. Also, I'm really familiar with this car, so without much practice, I can do good results in this car.
Well, it definitely showed. Another podium finish. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Doug.
Simon comes home in third. Now, will the Porsches dominate in race 2? The top 7 will invert. Still cloudy. Just looking, the track temperature has come up 1 degree. The air temperature still holding. Still got a bit of wind out there. And quite a bit of humidity. There's always the potential that the rain will come back. And with several drivers testing dry tires now, both Andrew Lau, Mike Dolling, Simon Zierk, Max Gunther, and Mike Marshall out on track on dry tires at the moment. It looks like Andrew Lau battling with Mike Dolling a little bit there to see who does the best on dry tires. Now the question is, what will they start on? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the top 7 inverted. Adam Barker and Mike Marshall have the front row. Andrew Lau, Rudolph Gunther on the second. Simon Zierk, Mike Dolling have the third row. Max Gunther and Ryan McDaniel on the fourth. Byron Debelow not racing. All the drivers lining up on the grid. No rain at the moment. Still quite a few clouds in the sky. And the track still very, very wet. And everybody is starting race 2 on dry tires. We saw in race 1 how Adam Barker overshot turn 1. Will that be an issue for the entire field? This is definitely going to be an interesting start to the race. Has the track soaked up enough of the rain? We're not seeing nearly the spray we saw earlier. Still very, very wet out there. This is going to be a very interesting start, folks. Every driver is on dry tires. Now the question is, how many of them come in after lap 1 and switch to wets? Everybody lined up, ready to go. The Porsche pace car getting ready to turn to pit road. Adam Barker in control of the start. Here we go. Pace car is in. Adam fires and they are away. Adam quickly to the outside, green flag in the air as they all come to turn 1. Will the dry tires work? We've got quite a... Oh, Mike Dolling overshot turn one. Lau and Barker have some contact. Dolling did manage to get back on track, back to 7th place, so Simon Zierk side by side with Mike Marshall's around. Simon Zierk is around. Already some craziness in this one as we've got a battle for the lead. Barker looks low. Barker has the run on the outside and he will reclaim the lead. Simon Zierk has had another problem. Rudolph, oh wow, Max Gunther way off track. Rudolph Gunther, Max Gunther, Mike Dolling battling for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Ryan McDaniel quietly making his way up in 6th. We are seeing a lot of sliding. Remember, everybody on dry tires. Will we see anybody to pit road to put wets on? Switching to wets right now may give somebody a big advantage. Does not look like anybody is coming in. Ryan McDaniel now reeling in Max Gunther. Mike Dolling back on the attack underneath into turn 1. Whoa, and the crossover move. But Rudolph can't get the momentum out of turn 1. And let's take a look at some of the excitement from lap number 1. Andrew Lau shoots to the inside on Barker into turn 1. You saw Dolling just going wide. A little bit of contact there, but Lau to the lead quickly. Mike Marshall, Simon Zierk side by... Oh, I think there was some net code. Back looking overhead. Yeah, there was definitely some net code at play there. And then a few moments later, Adam Barker makes the move back to the lead. Trying to see, Simon had this off track that sent him way off, and it took him quite a while to get the car going again. Max Gunther has got the fastest lap so far in race 2. Adam Barker out front over Andrew Lau. Max trying to close that 3.5 second gap. Rudolph now in 4th. But here we go again. Mike Dolling right behind Rudolph. This was the big battle throughout the first race. These two had a lot of back and forth. I am really surprised to see all the drivers are out here on dry tires. Ryan McDaniel now up 2 spots into 6th. Mike Marshall, Simon Zierk way behind after their netcode incident. Ryan trying to close the gap on 5th place. Max Gunther. Andrew Lau just set the fastest lap of the race so far in the Ferrari. Mike Dolling looks to the outside on Rudolph Gunther. Whoa, inches apart through one. This time Rudolph able to get the power out of turn one. Dolling still trying to make the attack. They're going to make something happen quick. Max Gunther is on the way, and now Simon Zierk has the fastest lap. As Mike Marshall drifts it out of one. Max Gunther, Mike Marshall have both had incidents in the last lap. Let's take a look. There is Max Gunther coming up the hill. He just drifts it, locks it up, and manages to keep it going. Lost some ground, but gets it back quickly. Mike Marshall has Simon. Oh, Mike just gets the entry into turn one all wrong. Drifts it out of one, but quickly recovers. Hey, good morning, Clay. How are you, buddy? Adam Barker now has the fastest lap out front. Andrew Lau in second. Mike Dolling now to third. Has gotten past Rudolph in fourth. But Max Gunther closing in on his dad. Despite drifting that turn earlier, Max Gunther back on the attack. Ryan McDaniel still holds on to 6th place. He has a 13-second lead on Simon Zierk in 7th. Mike Marshall back behind in 8th. We have tried to warn Mike about driving Fords, but here he is. Track definitely starting to dry out now, especially down the front straightaway. Still quite a few parts of the track, though, that have some moisture to them. The drivers have to be very careful here. Mike Marshall has had another problem back behind. Just another time, the back end just stepping out on him. We saw him have that problem a couple of times in race 1. Already a couple of issues here in race 2 as well. Ford's gonna Ford. We saw Adam start race 1 on dry tires. That was a huge mistake. And in turn 1, he went off track and lost all the ground. Here in race 2, he chose dry tires again. This time, it seems to be working well. More and more of the track starting to dry out as the drivers complete laps. Mike Dolling back in third, just set the fastest lap as he tries to close in on the top 2. That new Corvette GT3 is on fire. Rudolph Gunther still holds on to 4th, Max Gunther in 5th. Ryan McDaniel back in 6th. Simon Zierk, though, closing quickly on Ryan. Mike Marshall struggling in 7th. Apparently, I need to get my Corvette painted and do some racing this weekend. That Corvette is on fire. Max trying to make the move on Rudolph. He's got the run down the front straightaway. Max Gunther down to 4th. Rudolph looking low. He may try and outbrake him into 1. Ryan McDaniel has had a problem. We'll take a look in a moment. Rudolph doesn't have enough to take him into 1. There's Ryan. Ryan had been having a great run in race 2. Oh, just gets a little too deep, stomps the brakes in the back end, steps out. Close call for Simon Zierk right behind. Adam Barker continues to lead. His lead now 5 seconds. Mike Dolling continuing to set the fastest laps, and he has caught Andrew Lau. Just 1.4 seconds back from second place Lau. He is closing the gap. Looks like the Ferrari and the Corvette equal speed on the straightaway. But that Corvette definitely has seemed to monster everybody in the turns. That car seems to get off the turn with a lot more speed and a lot more grip. Max Gunther back in 4th, pulling away from his dad Rudolph Gunther in 5th. Simon Zierk in 6th, trying to close that gap. Ryan McDaniel in 7th. Mike Marshall back in 8th. Andrew Lau, last time by, picked the pace up. His fastest lap so far, trying to keep Dolling in the rearview mirror, but Dolling once again, Dolling has now set the fastest lap of the race, then beat his own lap, 3 laps in a row. Dolling in that Corvette on fire this morning. Ryan McDaniel also in the Corvette this morning. and he has had some of his best racing of the season. Adam Barker, meanwhile, continuing to pull away in the Audi as a 6-second lead over Lau. Dolling in third, now right at 1 second behind Andrew Lau. And Max Gunther just set the fastest lap in fourth. He is 5 seconds behind Dolling and Lau and closing quickly. He has already pulled away from Rudolph Gunther in fifth. Simon is 21 seconds behind Rudolph, but he is closing quickly. We saw how stable that BMW was in the rain, and we know how good it is in the dry as the track gets drier and drier. Adam Barker continuing to extend his lead, now 8 seconds. He has got to take advantage of the opportunity to pull away. Remember, they still have to make a pit stop. Andrew Lau now has a Corvette right up his chuff as they come toward turn one. And back behind this battle, Max Gunther now 4 seconds behind and closing. The field spread out a little bit in the first few minutes of this race due to a bit of chaos, but now we're seeing, for the most part, except for the leader, everybody starting to close back in as Adam Barker set the fastest lap last time. Andrew Lau and Mike Dolling now nose to tail. They have Max Gunther closing the gap. Dolling starting to look for a place to make a move. We saw him make that last lap pass in race one through the final sector. Could he do it again this time or next? Simon Zierk back in sixth, starting to close the gap on Rudolph Gunther in fifth. Brian McDaniel back in seventh, trying to close the gap on Zierk. Dolling looking low, doesn't have the run as they go into one. Adam Barker is really enjoying the fact everybody is closing and battling back behind. His lead now over 9 seconds. The longer this battle for second takes, the further away Adam Barker will be able to get. Here we go, Dolling looks to the inside. The straight line speed of the Ferrari just seems to be about equal to the Corvette. Dolling can get a run, but he can't do much with it. And now Max Gunther is almost there. Max just under 1.5 seconds behind. We're about to have a 3-car battle now for second. Adam Barker's going to love to hear that. He'll be able to pull away even more as they battle. Simon Zierk continuing to try and close the gap on Rudolph. Ryan McDaniel has had a problem back behind. Ryan having one of his best runs of the season. Out of the turn on the power, the car just snaps around. Looks like that's one of the few spots left on the track that does still have some moisture in it and not a lot of grip. Fourth place, Max Gunther set the fastest lap last time by, but the rain is starting to come down again. This could be huge. Riding along with Adam Barker. Remember, these drivers have to make a stop anyway. Could see a bunch of them in for rain tires here in a moment. Will depend on how much rain they get here. Barker not coming in. The rain does not appear to be too heavy at the moment. Just a bit of a sprinkle at the moment, but that could change at any time. You gotta love iRacing adding the rain, the strategy that comes into play, and man, it's just awesome. Now, second, third, and fourth, all nose to tail. Rudolph Gunther's gonna love this. He is starting to close the gap. Lau goes wide as Dolling and Gunther do battle. The rain definitely starting to affect the track. You see the spray getting bigger and bigger. Could start seeing some puddling. If the rain continues, we could start seeing those puddles that had finally dried out reforming. This could have a huge effect on the second half of this race. Adam Barker likely has the biggest advantage. He was on dry tires in that much wetter race number one. Now as the track continues to get wet, once again, Max Gunther has taken third place. Andrew Lau got himself a little bit of breathing room. Mike Dolling now back into fourth. Lau has a 1 second lead, a little bit of breathing room, but not much. Here comes the Porsche of Max Gunther, a car we talk about on dry tracks being extremely squirrely, but as you heard Max say, after race one, this car on the rain, in the rain, it is really good. Ryan McDaniel has had another problem. Remember, everybody out here on dry tires coming through that final sector. We saw that turn bite a lot of drivers in race 1. You see it's starting to puddle again. Mike Marshall has gone a lap down. Ryan McDaniel just ahead of the leader, likely to go a lap down here in a moment. Adam Barker still out front, but his lead is shrinking. Andrew Lau now just 8.5 seconds back. Max Gunther sits in third, Mike Dolling in fourth. All three a little breathing room between them. Rudolph Gunther back in fifth. Simon in sixth has started closing in on everybody ahead. Remember, that BMW was the most stable car in race 1 when we had a lot more rain and a lot more of a wet track. Looks like the rain may have let up or stopped completely. Just barely sprinkling. The sun is back out. We'll ride along with Barker into turn 1, get a better idea of just how much it is raining. But it looks like it is lightened up significantly. Oh, definitely has lightened up a bit. But it has done enough to impact the track to a degree. We saw some puddling in that final sector. Mike Marshall now in 7th, Ryan McDaniel in 8th, Chevy versus Ford. Ryan, don't let us down. The lower parts of this track definitely showing a lot more moisture now. Definitely seeing some different lines through some of the turns to avoid the puddling from that brief rain we just had. Simon Zierk has made a lot of ground up on Rudolph Gunther. Simon now less than 13 seconds behind. Mike Dolling, Max Gunther, and Andrew Lau all still within about 1.25 seconds. Rudolph Gunther is on pit road. Ryan McDaniel is on pit road. Hey, good morning, Crone. How are you, buddy? Both drivers hitting pit road. Will they switch to wet tires? Ryan is up, and he has switched to wets. Rudolph has switched to wets. Will the rest of the field switch to wet tires here or take the risk and stay on dries? Hey, I'm doing great this morning, Crone. Everybody is within their pit window. They can make it from here on fuel. And it does look like the leader is coming in. Will he switch? Remember, Adam made the wrong tire call in race 1. What will he do here? Everybody started race 2 on dries. How many will go to wets as Andrew Lau is coming in? Hey, good morning, Manny, and thank you for the raid. Everybody is hitting pit road. Here we go. Up. Will we see more wet tires? Adam Barker, the leader, has gone to wets. Andrew Lau has switched to wet tires. Looks like everybody is switching to wet tires. Simon Zierk now on pit road as well, leaving just a few drivers to come in. Oh, Mike Dolling way wide through that turn. He gathers it up. I expect we'll see him changing to wet tires as well as Max Gunther. Max has definitely slowed down as we're starting to see some puddling. Despite how light this rain has been, it has caused some puddling out there. Things are about to get interesting. And here they come. Max Gunther is in. Mike Dolling is headed in behind. Thank you guys for coming in with with Manny, and thanks for the raid, everybody. Max is in his pit stall. Mike Dolling is in. Both are up, both going to wet tires. So everybody is back on wet tires. Andrew Lau coming by will take the lead. Max is on his way out. Max Gunther now moving into second. Mike Dolling in third. Rudolph Gunther in fourth. Barker now back into fifth. Simon in sixth. Adam Barker got a penalty on pit road. Looks like he got a speeding penalty, and now he's going wide through one. Looks like Barker got a penalty. It has dropped him back from the lead to fifth place. Just over 15 minutes left to go in the race, and everything is flipped upside down yet again with the rain coming back in. Lau now has a 7 1/4 second lead over Max Gunther in second. Mike Dolling holds on to third. It's all good, Ginger Ninja. Hey, welcome. Thank you for the raid. Doling in third. Rudolph Gunther now to fourth. Adam Barker in fifth. Went from the lead to fifth place on pit road. Looks like a speeding penalty. Simon Zierk in sixth, closing the gap. Mike Marshall now in seventh. Ryan McDaniel in eighth is back on pit road. Hey, good morning, Tomo. Everybody started this race on dry tires. Everybody has switched to wet tires, and one penalty has flipped the entire race upside down as it looks like the rain is starting to get heavier. Looking inside from the in-car of Andrew Lau, the leader, through the slow final sector, and yes, the rain is starting to pick up. Mike Marshall has had a problem back behind. Oh, he is way drifting that car through the turn and into the wall. Minimal damage. He will get it rolling once again. Ford's gonna Ford. Lau's lead is starting to shrink. Max Gunther in second. The Porsche, one of the squirreliest cars on dry track, suddenly becomes a monster in the rain, is charging in, closing that gap in a big way. Mike Dolling has slipped back into third. Rudolph Gunther in fourth. Adam Barker in fifth, starting to close in the Audi. Hey, good morning, Duchess. Simon Zierk in the BMW back in sixth place. Mike Marshall in seventh. Ryan McDaniel rolling back out of pit road. Looks like Ryan has had more problems in eighth. Whoa! Let's see if we can get another look. It looked like Ryan was trying to jump it. Now Ryan is back on wet tires. Oh, he found one of the turtles and just put the nose up in the air. Well, folks, you don't see a Corvette pop a wheelie very often, but now, thanks to Ryan, you have. The Ferrari's still out front, but that gap is closing very, very quickly. Max Gunther in second, closing the gap down. A lot more puddling in the corners now. Mike Dolling in the Corvette in third. The other Porsche of Rudolph Gunther in fourth. the Audi of Adam Barker on maximum attack in 5th. I hope all you guys, thank you all for coming in from the raid. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday morning or afternoon for those of you over in the UK. Now continuing to lead, but Max cut a full second and a half off the lead last time by. The gap now down to 3.9 seconds. And Mike Marshall has had a problem back behind. There it is again. The Ford just has zero grip in the rain. Maybe he forgot it was a race, thought it was a drift competition. Not quite sure there. But as we say here, Ford's gonna Ford. Hey, good morning, Chrissy. Yep, Fuji in the rain. This has definitely been an interesting morning of racing. Race 1, they started in the heavy rain at a very wet track, but by the end it was drying off. Race 2 started on a much drier track, and halfway through the rain started again. Tire strategy from wets to dries back to wets has definitely impacted several drivers this morning. Especially Adam Barker, who's now made his way up into 4th in the Audi, but race 1 definitely did not go his way. Starting the race on dries, one of only 2 drivers to do so, went off track into turn 1 in a big way. He was leading race number 2 until a penalty on pit road, now back into 4th. Andrew Lau's lead continuing to shrink, now down to 2.7 seconds. The Porsche of Max Gunther on the attack. Mike Dolling in the Corvette, just not gaining any ground here. That Corvette extremely fast in the rain in race 1, but since switching back to wet tires on his pit stop, has just gained no ground. Adam Barker, however, trying to make up for that pit road penalty in 4th, is closing the gap on Dolling very quickly. The gap, though, 9.6 seconds. Will he have enough time? And the rain is getting even heavier now. Andrew Lau's lead continuing to shrink. Max closing the gap. Adam Adam still closing the gap on Dowling, but likely not enough time. Simon in 6th, still closing in on Rudolph. But the Porsches definitely seem to come alive in the rain this morning. Riding along with second place Max Gunther as he tries to close that gap. And it looks like the rain is heavier at certain parts of the track than at others. That final sector just seems to be a sprinkle. But that middle sector appears to have quite a bit of rain. You got to give it to iRacing. They have really modeled the rain and everything so well. You can definitely see the changes as he goes through turn 1 toward the back and the rain starting to pick up. Slightly bigger raindrops at the back half of the track. And the puddling that the drivers are having to avoid. The first part of this race, they were able to go through. Whoa, a little slip there for the Porsche. They were able to hit their apexes perfectly in the dry. Now having to adjust the driving line to avoid the puddles. Through a lot of puddles there into the final sector and closing the gap on Lau. And Max Gunther just over a second behind Andrew Lau onto the long straightaway. The Ferrari usually has the straight line speed advantage. However, here in the rain, it does not look like it. He is pulling away from the Porsche as much as we would normally see. Simon Zierk, who was charging for 5th, has had a problem. Oh, the leader's around. Max Gunther is by. See what happened to Simon first here. And oh, looked like he might have just gotten a clip of the wet grass and it sent him all the way off the track. And here is Andrew Lau coming through turn 1, gets back on the power, and the back end just steps out. Oh, and he lost the entire front clip on the Ferrari. Oof, indeed. Lau still holding on to second, but Dowling is closing the gap quickly in the vet. Barker in 4th, Rudolph Gunther in 5th. Will we see the white flag this time? A lot of puddling on the front straightaway. Riding along with the leader, Max Gunther, looking for Barney the flagman. Will he be waving the white? Can't hardly see Barney in the rain. One of the longest straightaways there is is the front stretch at Fuji. Adam Barker has closed a big gap, but still 7.8 seconds out of third. And the white flag is in the air. This will be the last time around. What a wild morning of racing it has been at Fuji. If you missed out, it will be on our YouTube channel later today. From wet to dry and back to wet all morning long. But none of it has fazed the Porsche of Max Gunther at all. As Max comes through the final 2 turns. Nice and easy, not pushing it at all. And out of the final turn, it doesn't matter what the weather is, Max Gunther will get it done once again, and Max Gunther will sweep the day at Fuji. Andrew Lau limps a damaged Ferrari to second place, and Mike Dolling will bring the Corvette home in third. And let's see if we can get a word with our top 3, starting with third place, Mike Dolling. Mike, you went from wet to dry all morning long. It's been back and forth. That's how you celebrate right there.
Exactly. That was fun.
It did look like a lot of fun. Everybody started on dry tires. Everybody went to wet tires, and it did cause a few issues there.
It did, right? I mean, Max and I made the silly decision to stay on dries for one more lap, and that cost, I would say that definitely didn't help. And then for some reason, my pit crew decided it wanted to take too long in the pits. So that my pit crew cost me, I think, the chance for second, but I'm happy with third.
It does look like your pit crew is about 10 seconds off.
Yeah, they suck.
So you'll have a new crew next Sunday, is what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah, because those guys are fired.
Oh man, a great job, a great showing in the new Corvette. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doug. Cheers.
Mike Dolling comes home third. Andrew Lau coming home in second. Andrew, you led after the pit stops, but with just a couple laps to go, it all went wrong.
Yeah, the track conditions got like really bad during that one lap, and my normal braking marker was about 20 meters off, so it just straight off I went. I think Max would have caught me anyway. He was catching me at a rapid pace.
Well, he definitely was catching you, but passing you would have been a whole nother thing. Passing in the rain here seemed to be a bit tricky.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't have any experience with that, so I don't know.
Oh man, a great job. Good job limping that car home and coming home in second, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll still take second place.
I bet. And finally, our winner, Max Gunther.